Hi, welcome back to Crafter's Choice. On today's Crafter's Choice, we're going to be making something that I think everyone needs, everyone uses. We're going to make homemade deodorant this time. So it's not a lot of ingredients. Here are the ingredients here. The main thing is once you start making this, keep in mind, start getting in the habit of saving your deodorant bottles that you had, and then you can just make the ingredients and pour them back into the bottles instead of having to use extra bottles. So if you're thinking about doing this, if you've thought about doing this, the first thing you need to do is start saving your deodorant bottles, because you can turn it all the way back down to the bottom and fill the bottles back up and just keep reusing that over and over. And as far as ingredients go, it's not a lot of ingredients. Some of the ingredients you might have anyway, so you might just have to add 1 or 2 items to it. So what you're going to need is your fragrance oil or essential oils. I have lavender, and I have my favorite, which is baby bee buttermilk, which smells more like a baby powder type scent, which I happen to like better with my deodorants. That's the kind that I was buying in the past. You're going to need coconut oil. You're going to need beeswax, some shea butter, and some baking soda. So very few ingredients. You melt them up, you mix them up, you put them in your container to let it melt. To let it get solid, and then you have your own deodorant, and you don't have to buy deodorant any longer. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get started and make some deodorant today. Okay, so to start, you're going to need 2 tablespoons of shea butter. I've kind of smashed this up to get 2 tablespoons here. So you need that's a little bit more. 2 tablespoons of shea butter, and you need a container that can be microwaveable. Or you can do this with the boiler pot method, where you put double boiler method. You put it in a glass bowl, heat safe bowl, over a pot of water. You let the water get hot, which will melt the ingredients, but this is just faster. So I go with what's faster. Some things I will use that method, but a lot of things I won't. So you need 2 tablespoons of shea butter. I'm quite sure you can use other butters, but with this being a body product under your arms or whatever, I think shea butter is like the better choice of other butters. Mango butter, maybe the olive oil butter would be good or something, but I just prefer to use the shea butter, because I know shea butter is in a lot of beauty products. You need 2 tablespoons of coconut oil. 2 tablespoons. Okay. And then you're going to need beeswax. Now the beeswax, that is to help the deodorant form, because I made this before without the beeswax, and it still was deodorant, but it was more of that like lotiony type beeswax that was rather soft, that you would have to put on with your hand, and I want this to be firm like deodorant. So 2.5 tablespoons. Let's get all this off the spoon. Get this in here. 1. 2. And I'm pretty sure when I make this, that is going to fill 2 containers of deodorant, or at least 1.5, but I know it's definitely going to be more than the 1 container there. So luckily I have another container on standby. Get half. Okay, and then you're also going to need, this helps with fighting odor. That's what the baking soda is for. So then you're going to need a good heaping teaspoon of baking soda. Okay. Now, again, I've made this before, and what I didn't do was put the baking soda in this to melt, which I think was a bad idea because it kind of came out a little gritty, and I don't want that. I want my deodorant to be smooth and soft. This way, when you microwave it, it helps melt the baking soda down to get it, you know, a little bit more consistent. Like I say, if you're going to make something from homemade, you really want it to be like the product that you were buying in the first place. Otherwise, it has no value. Well, not to me anyway. And just one more thing before I go heat this up. When you're using a fragrance oil, make sure you check to see if that fragrance oil is skin safe. Some fragrance oils are designed just for candles, so you cannot use everything for your skin that, you know, the scent you may like. But I know for a fact that this is skin safe. You can put it in soap products, this type of product, skincare products. So just as a FYI, always make sure if you're going to use a fragrance oil, you always check to see if it is skin safe to make your body products with. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go melt this up, and then I'll be right back, and then we'll go on for the next step. So I'll be back. Okay, so I'm back, and I have melted the shea butter, the coconut oil, the beeswax, and the baking soda, I'm sorry. Now what I'm going to do is add my fragrance oil in here, about 20 drops. Let's see, stir and give it a smell. I think I'm going to add more. I can really still smell that shea butter, and I'm really not the biggest shea butter fan, except for the benefits that it have. But the smell, I could live without it. Let's see, does this do anything? Okay, that's better. So you really want to stir, because I can feel from the bottom the grittiness of the baking soda. And like I say, you really want it to be like the store brand. So let's just make sure we stirred it up really good. But you don't want it to cool too much, because you still have to pour it into the containers. So just stir. Okay, yeah, that's going to have good smell. And then carefully pour it into the empty container. So it's just, it's a little left. So I've poured the leftovers in here. Okay, so now that I've poured that, we're going to let it sit here and cool and set up. So I think it'll probably take a good hour or so, because you really want it to get cool and you really want it to get solid so you can twist it up and see. So once it's solid, I'll come back and show you the finished product of how your homemade deodorant should turn out. So I'll be back as soon as this has formed and turned into a solid deodorant roll-on. So I'll be back shortly. Okay, so I'm back, and here are the results. Here's my homemade DIY deodorant. It was very few ingredients. You see, it's very solid. It glides on just like your normal deodorant. It has a nice scent to it, and it wasn't that hard to make. It was a few simple ingredients. The container was recycled from the other containers. But just as a side note, when you're making this, let it cool a little, because one of my containers did kind of leak. I think the liquid was too hot. So by the time I poured it into the second container, it had cooled some. So don't pour it instantly into the container when it's real hot. Let it cool. It can start to solidify a little, but don't let it solidify all the way where you can't get all of your deodorant into the containers. But it's a very economical craft to have in store when you need deodorant, when you're trying to save money and start doing things the homemade way, like I plan to do and like I am doing. So that's today's craft corner. I hope you enjoy it. I also hope that you'll make it, and I'm glad to see the results were They were phenomenal. So I'll see you the next time on the next craft corner. And thank you so much for stopping by and watching this craft corner. So I'll see you next time. Have a good day. Bye.